Hello and welcome to Aniview Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Saki. So Saki was made by Studio Gonzo in 2009, it's 25 episodes long, and it's a sports series.
Saki follows the story of Saki, a first-year high school girl who is quite adept at the game of Mahjong. Contrary to her skill, though, she hates the game due to her sort of tragic past that she's had. This begins to change one day when her friend Kyotaro brings her to the Mahjong club at their school. There she meets Norika, a fellow first-year and national middle school Mahjong champion who longs to win at the national high school level. After being coerced into a game, Norika is shocked by Saki's amazing skill. Not long after, Norika convinces Saki to join the Mahjong club, and the pair, along with the other 3 female members, set their sights on taking nationals by storm.
Alright, so Saki for me is a really fun Mahjong series. And don't let the game or the etchy-looking girls dissuade you from the series, because it's seriously a lot of fun.
Yeah, fun is the key word about Saki here. You have 5 girls, they're having fun, playing Mahjong, and that's really all the series is about. The story doesn't really go too much any further as it's just about the fun of the Mahjong, so that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, for Saki's animation, it's decent, and I don't have anything bad to say about it. However, it's not going to win any awards. I like the character designs, and they really struck a chord with me. I enjoyed how they looked, and they had a huge variety of them. Also, the Mahjong games were well animated, and you got sort of cool-looking effects during it. But other than that, it's not top-quality animation, so there's nothing else much to say about it.
When it comes to sound, unfortunately there's nothing too memorable here either. It uses your typical sort of fun and bubbly music throughout most of the series, and sort of switches it with slightly more dramatic tones during the really important games. While it's not very strong, it does fit right at home with the series though.
Alright, so Saki's story, it really follows the normal sports tournament structure, and how that works is that you have these tournaments that they have to participate in, all the main characters cast, and they're going to be fighting lots of different rival teams and different players, and during the in-betweens of these, they have to do training sessions where they're improving on their problems and sort of developing relationships between each other. It really doesn't deviate from this basic plot structure.
Well, that's true though. I found that, with Saki, unlike other series like Hikaru no Go and Shion no O, there wasn't really much more to the story. All it really was about the fun of the Mahjong, whereas with Shion no O you had this whole sort of murder mystery that's intertwined with the shogi. That being the case, Saki's story just kind of falls flat slightly for me.
I gotta say that my favorite part of Saki's storyline was definitely the Mahjong games themselves. I found that when I was watching them, I know how to play Mahjong and such, and they did things that, really couldn't be considered realistic in actual Mahjong games, but I almost didn't care, because I really loved the way they narrated it, the lights, the action that was going on, and I really, really got into every single game. I was just so excited when they pulled off these insane hands that are just absolutely impossible in real life, and would require, massive amounts of luck. But when they do in the show, you forget about all of that, and you just really fall in love with what's going on and the sort of over-the-top nature of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I would agree. While the story itself is kind of blah, all the Mahjong games and the sort of ridiculous hands that they achieve just fuel this sort of excitement you have for watching the series. The fun factor, as we said, is ridiculously high in this series. Every tile that comes onto the field comes with a gust of wind or a light or some sort of explosion. And it just makes every moment that you're watching Saki just a joy. You want to see more of this. You get so involved in the series because all these crazy things are happening, and it just makes you feel good while you're watching.
Yeah, if anyone has seen this series, Hikaru no Go, which we referenced often in this review, it's because there's so much similarities between the shows. In Hikaru no Go, to make the excitement factor of Go, which is kind of a boring game to watch, they've made these sort of celestial boards where you could see them sort of in outer space and where everything was positioned, and whenever they put a tile down, it would burst out beams of light. Saki goes even a step further and has these battling angels and huge animations of wind and water, fire, whatever the character's specialty is when the tiles are played. So while these don't really affect the game, like the game is just a normal Mahjong game, they put all these extra animations in it just to make everything seem that much cooler. For when it isn't doing Mahjong games, though, the series does falter a bit. It goes a different path where it's all about the friendships between the characters and the interactions, and I've heard that some people really enjoy those aspects of Saki, and that's their favorite portions, but for me, I felt that there's much better series if you're looking for character interactions and character development, because Saki really lacked those aspects.
Alright, now let's come to the downer of the series, and that is the ending. So the ending of Saki is just sort of this, it gets to a point where they're on their way to nationals, that's their whole goal. Final episode, yeah, we're going to nationals. Oh, here's a teaser of everything that's going to happen at nationals, and then the series is done. So it teases you with all of this information that you want to see because you're so excited for the mahjong, for the, if you're excited for the emotional level of the characters, you're like, yes, they're making it. Series is done. There's no idea there's going to be a second season, and that's it. And for me, I was just left quite pissed off.
Yeah, I wasn't left off as pissed off as Leon, I would say, because I remember when this happened, but in essence, it did really sort of leave it off in a really bitter note. And this goes back to my idea. A lot of people hate the ending of Gantz, and that's because it really trails off from where the manga goes. However, they finished the series, and that's why I'm okay with it, because they really make sure that the series is complete and you're not left hanging with things. This is why that I don't like these, I like those style better, because this one, Claymore, also has the same style ending where it's a horrible mixture of showing you what could happen, what needs to be done, what they could have shown, and not giving you any of it. It's just like some horrid, on the next episode, and there's never going to be a next episode, or if there is, it's not coming for a really long time. And that really just bugs me to the bone when they do these for the ending of series.
Alright, so coming to characters now. The main cast of Saki, for me, is average overall. The girls all have their own backstories to them, but I found that they were never really explored and never really go anywhere, at least in this sort of season. They do have a variety of personalities to them, and they all really come through well, through their actions, through their playstyles, but at the same time, they all feel kind of unoriginal in the end.
So the cast is made up of 5 main characters, 2 of which are really the core, and that is Saki, who's obviously the main character, and her whole development is that she's very humble in her way of playing mahjong. She doesn't like beating people, and right from the beginning of the series, you learn that her specialty is getting 0 points, basically being on exact par, which is actually really hard to do if you're actually playing a game of mahjong. So that's what she likes to do. She doesn't want to seem aggressive, nor does she want to seem like she's forcing herself to lose. And so overall, as a character, it's an interesting trait, but it's never really developed throughout the series. The other main character is Nodoka, who, because of her winning the middle school championships, she now has this huge burden on her to do really well at the national level in high school. However, and she's known as an online prodigy. However, she never really develops much more as a character. She has this pressure, and she has this relationship developing with Saki, but that's about it throughout the entire series. And then you have the 3 other main characters, and they really even drop down even lower. You have Yuki, who loves tacos, and she's really excitable. And that's about all there is to her. Then you have the captain and vice captain, who sort of act as mentor characters to the other 3, and they are very good at mahjong. However, they're sort of not really shown off as major players throughout the rounds that they play. So overall, considering that's the main cast, they never really develop the characters very much, especially when you consider other series like Shion no O, which does this whole playing a board game idea, have done it so much better.
Yeah. So coming to the side cast now, it's huge, and it includes at least about 15 other girls from other various schools that they fight in the tournament. And just like with the main cast, though, they never really develop all that much. However, I will say this, though, that the great thing about the entire cast is that they all have a moment. There is some point where you're going to be like, oh my god, that was the most awesome thing I've ever seen. Who is this character? And so, like, when it comes to Saki, she's pulling off Risha and Kaiho's like crazy, which is like a ridiculously hard hand to get. And then there's a character called Stealth Momo who somehow has the ability to hide and make herself invisible to her opponents so they can't see her plays. So all these things are so ludicrous, but they're so awesome. They just happen. You're like, oh my god, this is so exciting, and it just adds once again to that fun factor of the series.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's so many different characters, different specializations that you always want to see them pull off their specialization to the highest. As you get farther in the series, you see more and more characters with these specializations. There's another girl there's 2 rounds in Mahjong, and Taco Girl, named Yuki, her specialty is the first round of Mahjong. Whereas this side character, when the second round starts, this wind sort of comes off her and everyone just dreads her power because she becomes so much better in the second round. And then there's the final sort of end boss in the series, and that is this demon level player, she's called, and her specialty is winning off the very last tile played. And how she does that is she makes sure no one else's hands can possibly win throughout the each game. So no one else wins throughout the entire time, and it's shown by this huge tide of water going over everyone and drowning them. And then while they're drowning, she finally finishes them off with the final tile of each round. And so you have these really interesting characters, and so you're excited for them, but none of them really get much development or are very deep as characters.
Alright, so what are you going to give Saki?
Saki gets 3.5 stars out of me. 3.5 stars is really the level where I felt that the series really had a lot of fun for me, and I really enjoyed it. However, it's not that 4-star higher level where I can recommend it for its amazing innovation or star quality. Because it's really just a series you watch, you have a good time, and you're done with.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars as well. It's for the exact same reason. It's fun, it's a nice little watch, but in the end, it's nothing really that in-depth. So if you want something that has a lot of depth for story, this is probably not the one to go. But if you want a good time, I'd say pick up Saki.
So if you have any questions, comments, or requests, you can send them to aniview@hotmail.com or send us a comment on our YouTube page.
You can also get in touch with us through our forums via aniviewreviews.com.
So thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.